fantasy football warriors. We are back. Start sit week
7.
Yep. Now we get it.
Yeah, we didn't get it.
That's right. We didn't get it on the waiver wire one, but we got it now. Start sit week 7 coming at you. The Tank Sinatra, Eddie Bravo. The Tank Sinatra. Happy birthday, Tank Sinatra.
Thank you.
My man. All right. So, bringing you the start sits for week 7, and as a wise clown once said, and here we go. Yeah.
Broncos Saints.
Here we go.
Thursday Night Football over here. Honestly, more information has come out since I made this slide, and this is kind of a game to avoid for me. Thursday Night Football already tends to be lackluster in performance due to lack of prep, extended.
Yeah, condensed prep time, condensed recovery time.
Yep.
Even you're going from a Sunday to a Thursday, not limited practices, right? So it already does not lend itself well to the time constraints to prepare from Sunday to Thursday.
Absolutely, and now we have a week where we're looking at the Broncos, which are one of the most boring teams in the NFL right now. Just poor play pretty much everywhere except for the defense, right?
Right.
And then you're looking at the Saints this week, which are severely handicapped and rolling out their practice squad. Chris Olave's already been ruled out.
Yes.
Rashid Shaheed's getting surgery.
Yes.
Derek Carr's out.
Yes.
You've got a practice squad going on here. But with that being said, the Saints defense started off pretty hot, but they've been pretty suspect over the last few weeks. Opposing wide receiver ones are averaging 22.6 fantasy points over the last 3 weeks. So the door is kind of open here for Cortland Sutton to have a fine day, but of course this offense hasn't lended itself to doing much of anything. So it's hard to recommend really anyone. Javonte Williams has been fine off of volume for the most part, so
yeah,
he's the
really
only confident
both
start.
offenses right now are like, I don't think either one of them can take advantage of anything, really. Broncos defense is playing well. Saints offense is
meh and handicapped.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, the Broncos offense, maybe if they were, a little more serviceable, could maybe take advantage of, maybe the Saints being suspect over the past couple of weeks, and they're even
meh, right? So
yeah.
The only must starts on the Saints side, I would say, is Alvin Kamara. Obviously, you just got to get him into your lineup.
Yeah. You're not sitting him.
Rattler in his first start was fine, but definitely not good enough to support much of anything. He found himself some bub means, but Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed were left out in the cold and injured. Obviously, they're both out. And even with them in, I probably wouldn't want to start them because poor quarterback play, poor offense, and this is a negative matchup just about everywhere.
Sure.
So running backs have mostly been fine off of volume, so I think Kamara, he's going to get the volume. He'll be fine. Najee Harris is the only running back over the extent of the season at the moment to have 12-plus touches in a game and not score 10-plus fantasy points. So I think Alvin Kamara should be fine regardless, but I would largely want to avoid this game as much as possible.
He's going to run. He's going to catch. He's going to be the guy, right? Especially with all those other players out. Like, it's going to have to funnel through Kamara.
Absolutely. Moving on. Patriots at Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a pretty plus matchup for the aerial attack here for the Patriots. I will note that
Areola attack.
Yeah, areola attack. Aerial attack. I will note today after practice, as of recording this, Drake May was going in for an MRI. I'm not exactly sure what the concern is. It doesn't seem like no alarms have been raised, but it is just something to note. I think he'll be fine, but it is something to monitor.
I didn't even catch that on any of my, unless I missed it, but wow.
So we'll see here, but I think it'll be fine. There's no cause for alarm just yet. It's early in the week still, but
yeah. With
that being said, really, really, really strong matchup through the air, as I said, but it is a tough matchup on the ground. If Ramondre Stevenson is active, he's a must start for the most part.
Yeah, he's one of those lineup locks, right? If you got Ramondre Stevenson and you don't have depth, you're probably playing Ramondre Stevenson, right?
If Ramondre misses another week, though, running backs have been largely producing in the passing game, and Antonio Gibson has been much, much better in that department, even while they've both been active. So even if Ramondre plays, I still think Antonio Gibson is a fine frisky play if you're struggling somewhere. I think he's a fine flex play. Running backs have been producing in the passing game, and Antonio Gibson has been primarily getting most of the passing down work and been outproducing Ramondre by a significant degree within that realm. So Antonio Gibson set up well. Ramondre Stevenson is probably still got to roll him out there if he plays. But what we're looking here is a premier matchup through the air, second most passing yards per game, and the most passing touchdowns. Demario Douglas led the team in targets with May's first start last week.
Yes, he did.
I would expect that to continue. I think Demario Douglas, Drake May are both fine options to play this week.
With the, talking about Drake May, the aerial attack, Demario Douglas, right? How do you feel about Jalen Polk?
I need to see it first still.
Yeah.
There's no...
I know, there's no big indicators, right?
Yeah, there's no big indications at all from here that he's even going to turn into a quality wideout.
Yeah.
If you just look at some of the metrics here, such as the average separation and stuff, nothing's popping off the screen by any stretch of the imagination. So there's nothing here that says, oh, he's going to pop this game. But I mean, it could. But I would prefer, if you're going to look for a pass catcher, Gibson and Demario Douglas are where I'd be looking.
Yep.
With that being said, on the other side of things, Evan Ingram is the only must-start I have against the Patriots. Patriots are a fairly neutral to negative matchup just about everywhere. But Evan Ingram, and his first start back, led the team in targets with a 29% target share. Yep, 10 receptions, over 100 yards. So a beautiful debut. Obviously a must-start going forward.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Travis Etienne has an injury. He could miss this week. Obviously, that really gives Tank Bigsby a bump here. We'll kind of see what goes on there. But if Travis Etienne misses, I think Tank Bigsby can be a fine play despite not like an amazing matchup or anything, but he's been playing great. And if he's in line to get the start,
if he's going to get the volume, you're firing him up.
Christian Kirk's best matchups have come against teams that play too high safeties a lot. So the Patriots are one of those teams. So if you have Christian Kirk on your roster, I think this is a week you could play him, and I think you could get a productive week. He's been strong against too high. Patriots playing a lot of too high. Kind of what we're looking at here. So if you have Christian Kirk, I'd be fine playing him this week. Brian Thomas I think he's performed well enough that you can be fine playing him, but the Patriots have been fine enough defensively, and if he sees a lot of Christian Gonzalez, you're probably looking at a slow day here. So I would prefer to attack this through Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. But if you have Brian Thomas and you don't have better options, I think he's still, if they move him around enough, he can still get open. Right. Trevor Lawrence, not really a spot I'm looking to attack with Mr. Lawrence either. Next up, Seahawks at Falcons. Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, both must starts each and every week.
Absolutely.
I will say it's been a rough couple of weeks for DK Metcalf, but the targets have still been there. He's still leading the team in targets. He's been fine. They'll get going. It just haven't really connected the last couple of weeks, but this could very well be that game. The Falcons have been tougher against the air, but it hasn't been impossible. Obviously, huge blowout game from Baker Mayfield and his 3 passing touchdowns. Like, they're not impossible to attack here, so no. I think this, they could be fine, but it's definitely not a spot where I'm expecting fireworks through the air. They're not set up amazing. But with that being said, most of the wide receiver production week in and week out has come from opposing outside wide receivers. So DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, that's how I would attack this if you're looking for wide receivers in this matchup. And I think Geno Smith is a fine enough start if you've been rolling him out there each and every week, just because it's a tougher matchup.
Giving you what you need.
I'd be fine throwing him out there as well.
Bum.
Damn it. I throw that one in there.
I'm sorry.
On the Falcons side of things, must starts. Drake London, Bijan Robinson. Pitts has been better the last couple of weeks, I will say. I think it does continue this week. Seahawks have allowed plenty of production to tight ends and slot receivers. So he's set up pretty well coming out of the slot. I think Kirk Cousins will get the ball.
Chains.
Yeah. We'll get the ball to Kyle Pitts plenty this week. I expect it to continue. If you've been capitalizing on the spike in production the last couple of weeks, I think this is another week it continues. Drake London's been fantastic. You love to see it. I think Kirk Cousins could be fine. Not a terrible matchup anywhere. It's actually a little bit of a negative matchup on the ground, but if you drafted Bijan Robinson, you got to keep throwing him out there. He's had a better week last week. Obviously, Algier was still a little bit involved, but Bijan went out there and had a really, really productive week. So the offense has been getting going over the last few weeks, and I'm feeling
they're
really good.
Definitely starting to find their legs, to find their rhythm, and it can only mean just continued good things for, Kirko, Drake, Bijan, Pitts, all those guys.
Before I forget, the Seahawks could be without Tariq Woolen as well. If they are, that's a plus for Drake London and Darnell Mooney as the opposing outside wide receivers. That gives them a plus if Tariq Woolen is not on the field, which is looking like he's trending to be inactive.
I did catch that alert.
Titans-Bills.
Titans-Bills.
On the Titans side of things, the only one I would be looking to start this week is Tony Pollard.
Absolutely.
Pollard's been great, and it is a excellent matchup for Tony Pollard this week. Please make sure he is in your lineup. Not great through the air, and the passing attack has been relatively sad, honestly, for this team. So just Tony Pollard or bust for me on this matchup. I would avoid everyone else. On the Bills side of things, Josh Allen, this Bills offense has been a little inconsistent and a little rough the last couple of weeks, but this is a pretty good matchup for the Bills through the air.
I mean, past couple of weeks they've had, last week, Monday Jets, and then who did they have last week? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that it's not a. They've been inconsistent, but I think they've played a couple played a couple good defenses that have kind of lended itself to that. I think the offense should be fine though.
I disagree a little bit with the offense being fine this week. We'll see, just because this is actually the Titans. As bad as the Titans offense has been, the defense has been good.
It hasn't been that bad.
So the Titans defense has been really good, and that's the only reason they've stayed in games, because if the Titans defense was out there being very bad as well, like, team would just be getting blown out. But Titans defense has been fine. It is not a positive matchup anywhere, but we'll see how this offense responds this week. It's not the end of the world, obviously.
Yeah, I just don't see it as a negative matchup either, though.
It is it is a relatively negative matchup through the air and on the ground. They've been pretty good, but I'll be interested to see how things play out between James Cook and Ray Davis this week. Yeah. After Ray Davis's strong performance last week, we'll see. But I still think James Cook is a must start. Ray Davis could get more work.
At the end of the day, he's the starter.
We'll see, right? So, but for now, we're still playing James Cook. I'm just interested to see how that works out.
Can only go with what you know.
Rushing quarterbacks have been fine against the Titans. Non-rushing quarterbacks have really struggled. So Josh Allen, obviously a rushing quarterback, can pick up plenty of production on the ground. So he'll be fine enough, or at least he should be fine enough this week. Once again, I'm not expecting fireworks here. It's a tough defense, but hopefully they get on track here. Dalton Kincaid has been trending up over the last few weeks in targets, receptions, yardage. He just had the most receptions and yardage of the season so far, so that's really positive.
Valkyrie ascending.
Hopefully, and honestly, I've seen some people say that the Amari Cooper trade is a negative for Dalton Kincaid, but I honestly think the opposite. I think it's actually a plus for Dalton Kincaid, because if you've been actually watching the games and not just watching the box scores and the stats, if you watch the games, he is the focal point of the defense every time the Bills play. It's not Khalil Shakir. It's not Keon Coleman. Like, defenses are trying to stop Dalton Kincaid, and if you're watching the games, that should be very apparent, because you will see so many routes Dalton Kincaid's running where he is double covered, blanketed coverage with like 3 different defenders around him. He has been the focal point, and so that has lent itself to a slower start.
Amari Cooper can definitely help take the focus off him, pressure off him.
Exactly. You add another competent wide receiver that defense is going to have to worry about, especially a wide receiver of Amari Cooper's talents, which is deep field, down the field threat, right? Yep. So this should open it up for Dalton Kincaid and maybe Khalil Shakir as well, but I do think it's actually a benefit to Dalton Kincaid. Maybe that's a hot take. It kind of seems like it's a hot take with what the current narrative surrounding this trade is, but I think this is actually a good sign with Dalton Kincaid.
I think it's a good thing for him, absolutely, because it's real easy for any defense to focus on one premier player if that's what you have on the field, right? You need those complementary pieces, or you need that other, let's just say premier player to help alleviate, the pressure that one player is going to receive if he's the only one out there that's, they're worried about, they're concerned about, right? Amari Cooper getting on the field, now they have to pay attention to him because they can't just not.
Yeah.
Right? That definitely aids Dalton Kincaid for sure.
So back to Dalton Kincaid. He leads the team in targets over the last few weeks with a 23.3% target share. So, like I said, it's been trending up. It's been trending up all season. We've been talking about it each and every week. Obviously, last week he 6 receptions for 50-something yards. Solid production. With that being said, I would lean to sit all pass catchers in this game. We will want to see how Amari Cooper shakes up in this offense. And this is, as I mentioned before, a poor matchup through the air.
He's just getting there. He still needs to get chemistry with Allen. He still needs to learn the playbook. He still needs to...
And we need to see how his presence impacts Kincaid, impacts Khalil Shakir, impacts all of them, right? And like I said, this is not a good matchup through the air. So there hasn't been a ton of production from tight ends, from wide receivers, none of that against the Titans. So I would lean to sit all pass catchers with, both of those elements intertwining there to make it kind of a please sit them if you can. But that's how I see this matchup. Moving on into the Bengals versus the Browns. Must starts Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, obviously. Now the Browns are a neutral and negative matchup just about everywhere. But it's Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow. I would still lean to get him out there.
Yeah, you're not going to shy away from him.
And they've all been playing really well. T. Higgins has continued to out-target Jamar Chase over the last few weeks, but I think you need to get them all out there. They can, on any play, they can go out there and, win their fantasy matchup in one play, right? So I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's definitely a tougher matchup, but they should be okay. For Chase Brown and Zach Moss, Chase Brown has outtouched Zach Moss over the last couple of weeks here.
We've been talking about that for quite a few, I feel like at least a couple weeks now. Chase Brown is just slowly getting there, more and more ascending, right?
Last week, however, against the Giants, the margin increased significantly. So he outsnapped them. He had a higher route participation for the first time. So it is definitely, there's a passing of a torch going on here, which if you've even been watching football a little bit the last 2 weeks, it makes sense because Chase Brown has been significantly better than Zach Moss. Like you could just see it on the field. That was my take in the offseason, was Chase Brown was the one you wanted. It's turning into that, which I am very happy to see. So, yep, take the victory lap, me. But with that being said, I think Chase Brown is a strong start, even though this isn't a great matchup. He's getting enough usage, and he's been honestly one of the best running backs from an efficiency standpoint across the league, largely. So I think Chase Brown is still fine. He's getting enough usage. He's getting enough passing down usage as well. This is a good offense. I think I'm fine with starting all of them, and I would, no reason to take any of them out of your lineup, despite the tough matchup. On the Browns side of things, sit everyone. This isn't a rough defense by any stretch of the imagination, but Amari Cooper's gone, Jerry Jeudy's a bum, and Deshaun Watson sucks. It's just like, we've got a cesspool of horribleness in the passing game.
There's a bunch of doo-doo brown going on over there.
It looks like the slide over here.
The only good thing
Nick
coming
Chubb
out of Cleveland is Nick Chubb will be back on the field soon, hopefully just as good or better than ever.
Yep. And that is also what lends itself to sitting everyone, because Nick Chubb is expected back this week. Let's go. This is something to monitor. If you took a chance and drafted him late, hoping he comes back, looks good, and grows into his role over the next coming weeks.
And as we've talked about, as you've mentioned, all the indications from practice and things like that is that he's looking good, looking like Nick Chubb, right?
As of recording this, he logged a full practice today, and he's looked good. I'm excited. We all love Nick Chubb, so we'll see how it comes out this week. Right. I'm not expecting a strong workload.
Yeah, it's practice. It's could be coach speak. It's not in game. We'll see. We'll see.
With that being said, that is, you're not playing Nick Chubb this week, and because Nick Chubb is there, you're not playing Donta Foreman, Jerome Ford. I don't think he's going to be active this week. I think he's hurt. Just not playing anyone. We'll monitor Nick Chubb's role this week and how it grows and how he looks, how he plays. So just sit everyone, please, please, please. There's no one worth playing here. Even though Jerry Jeudy upgrades a little bit with Amari Cooper being out, I can't possibly confidently recommend that. So sit everyone on the Browns. If you have Browns players, please Honestly, other than Nick Chubb, just drop him at this point.
Texans.
Moving on to a
Packers.
much more exciting team.
Yeah,
The Texans must start C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Joe Mixon. Get all of them in your lineup.
All day
As
long.
we theorized, Tank Dell would inherit the Nico Collins role. That is manifested. He actually looked really, really good. He led the team in separation and other metrics this week. So looked good, produced. Love to see it. So Tank Dell needs to be in your lineups. And Stephon Diggs was plenty fine too, needs to be in your lineup as well. They are producing, and it's a neutral matchup, nothing crazy, but this Texans offense and the passing attack has been rolling, so they can turn a neutral matchup and turn it into a positive, so not even worried about that. The game has shootout potential here with two high-powered offenses and okay defenses on both sides, but It's possible both defenses don't necessarily shut down these high-powered offenses, so this game script should be very, very beneficial for this entire offense. Could be plenty of scoring. They're going to have to keep up with the Packers more than likely, so plenty of passing. So must starts on out across the board.
Definitely looking forward to this one.
On the other side of the ball, the Packers. Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Jaden Reed. Must starts here. Texans are a good defense, as I mentioned before, but the Packers are a really, really good offense. They're rolling, so shootout potential here. I want to get players in this game. I would be fine with starting Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs. More Christian Watson here. He's the one that kind of gets...
That's what I was going to get to. I was like, see, that little... Where do we lean there? Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, right?
Definitely Christian Watson. They move their wide receivers around a lot, but Romeo Doubs plays on the right side or left side outside wide receiver the most out of all of them. And that is where Derek Stingley Jr. hangs out the most. And so he's probably the one that faces the toughest coverage throughout the game.
Yeah.
Christian Watson should get a bump here, and they move Jaden Reed all around. Obviously, he's pretty much a must-start every single week, wide receiver 1. So not worried about Jaden Reed here, but if you are looking for a tertiary option, I think Christian Watson's my lead, but Romeo Doubs could get away on any other play too in this game, especially if it pops off the way we think it could. I would be more than fine with it. Tucker Kraft, you could probably start, but honestly, I would lean to sit him. Came back down to earth last week, and if you've been looking at his separation and stuff like that, it kind of makes sense. Hasn't been creating a ton on his own, even though he had a good couple of weeks there, and he could do it again this week. But I think this is more of a game where we see the pass catchers really thrive. So I would probably be fine with Tucker Kraft, but I don't expect this to be another blow up game for Tucker Kraft. Dolphins Colts. I don't think Tua will be back this week. I think we're eyeing a next week return, which should be very, very beneficial for this entire team. But man, I think Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, and Raheem Mostert should still be strong plays and probably in most people's lineups here. It's a very, very positive matchup through the air, and hopefully they can capitalize on it. I would still prefer to sit a lot of these guys just because the offense has been not great. Yeah. They still don't have a lot going on quarterback, but
it's not clicking at all without Tua.
It's positive on the ground. It's positive through the air. So Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane. Achane is healthy. He's already cleared concussion protocol. So it'll be Achane and Mostert out there. I think in this matchup they could both get going through the air, on the ground, and I think both are fine plays here. Tyreek Hill is obviously a good player. Last week before the bye, he had a 6 for 62 game. Nothing crazy, but 12 points you'll take. This is a positive matchup. I think he could be fine enough to start. I would sit everyone else outside of that, though. On the Colts side of things, Trey Sermon has been not great, but he's getting enough touches to, I think, warrant a start here. Monitor the status of Jonathan Taylor, because obviously if Jonathan Taylor starts, you're not looking at Sermon, and Jonathan Taylor is a must-start anytime he is on the field. Anthony Richardson will be back this week, so we'll see what that does to the Josh Downs party. Right. Maybe it screws it all up and we hate life, or maybe it's fine.
Or maybe it works.
With that being said, I think Josh Downs has earned himself to be a strong start, or at least in consideration either way. The Dolphins have given up at least one rushing touchdown in every game this season. Lends itself to Trey Sermon, maybe Anthony Richardson getting a rushing touchdown at least one of them. And they've allowed a good amount of passing down work to go the way of the running backs. That lends itself to Tyler Goodson, who's kind of been the receiving back for the most part. So I think Tyler Goodson's a fine flexibility this week too if you need him. And I would still lean to sit Anthony Richardson. First week back, he was struggling before he got injured. So we'll kind of see what happens here. This isn't a crazy matchup for Anthony Richardson to explode in necessarily. The Dolphins have been fine defensively, but it's nothing to be scared of either. Lions and Vikings.
I want to see this one. I'm interested in this
goes
one, boy.
one of two ways. This is a shootout from two good offenses,
or it is
a defensive side,
or it is
slow game.
Whooping.
Right? On the Lions side of things, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the must-start for me. Vikings play a lot of too high safeties. This doesn't profile as a strong Williams game, but it does help Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he gets a huge bump in his targets per route run rate against too high against man. So this is a prototypical Amon-Ra St. Brown should feast in this game. Jameson Williams probably takes a little bit of step back. We talked about last week how he was a good start. I'm not sure I see this as a... You could get lucky. Obviously, Jameson Williams could go out there and have a long touchdown.
Catch a bomb, right.
Any week, but this isn't a matchup where I'm pinpointing it as, I am expecting Jameson Williams to go out there and score. So, take with that what you will for it. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is the only must-start I see here. It is a negative matchup everywhere, but especially on the ground. So, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, they're pretty much must-starts every week, but I think they do downgrade a little bit. Where
temper your expectations.
You could maybe look at other options if you have better options. You could maybe look at them just because this probably isn't going to be a game where the running backs super thrive, but we'll see. Jared Goff has been playing well the last few weeks. I think the possibility of this turning into a shootout is enough to warrant a potential start here. So if you find yourself maybe Dak Prescott on bye, Caleb Williams on bye, I think you can get away with Jared Goff. We have better streaming options on the week, but I think you maybe get away with it. And like I said, I would lean to sit Jameson Williams. This doesn't feel to me like he's going to blow up this game, but you could still maybe be fine. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is the one I'm especially looking to target here. On the Vikings side, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, if active, obviously must starts every single week. The Vikings did just trade for Cam Akers, so it does make you wonder about Aaron Jones' health a little bit. They did say that it has nothing to do with Aaron Jones, but it's like, you can say one thing, but you're kind of showing another. We'll see. If Aaron Jones plays, must start. Justin Jefferson must start. Lions are also a negative matchup everywhere once again, so we'll kind of see with what happens here. This game's going to blow up, or it's going to be very defensive-sided. Kind of hard to say which way it goes. Yeah. Justin Jefferson, a must-start every week regardless, and I think same argument with Jared Goff here. If you've been rolling out Sam Darnold, there's enough of a chance that this maybe turns into a shootout that I think Sam Darnold is a fine enough play if you've been playing him.
Yeah, that's why I'm so interested in this game. I really want to know. I want to see which way it goes. Right? Yeah. Like, are both offenses good enough to turn the tables on the defenses and turn it into a shootout, or is it going to be a defensive slobber knocker? And it's just I'm so super interested.
With that being said, I would not start Jordan Addison this week. I would lean to sit him. It's just not a great matchup. I don't expect tertiary options to really explode in this game, so I would avoid him. Eagles-Giants, NFC East divisional rivalry. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are pretty much must-starts every single week. Absolutely. I will say, however, Giants have been really, really strong defensively, and they've been generating...
Yeah, they've been looking great defensively, actually.
They've been generating the second most pressure rate over expectation this season. So Jalen Hurts has actually been pretty good under pressure, dating back to last year and the year prior. He's been pretty good under pressure. He does look for A.J. Brown a lot under pressure. That's kind of his go-to, looking for A.J. Brown when he's under pressure. So expect A.J. Brown to have a really, really strong game this week. He obviously has strong games pretty much every week. But this is a game under a Giants defense that's getting a lot of pressure that kind of signals you to say he's going to lean on A.J. Brown a lot this game because that's what he's historically done under pressure. Monitor the status of Dallas Goedert. Obviously, he was hurt last game, and their backup tight end, Caltera, had a fine enough week. I think either tight end, whoever's active, doesn't profile as like some amazing slam dunk play, but I think either one is fine in this offense, right? So
you're going to take the points.
Not an exceptional matchup, but either one do well enough. Calcaterra did well enough last week. Dallas Goedert is obviously Dallas Goedert. Well enough that you're probably just starting him anyway, but nothing about this matchup that is screaming the tight ends are gonna
Poop
that
the bed.
they're gonna shit the bed or they're gonna thrive in any kind of way. But fine enough plays. I wouldn't expect a huge game from anyone. I mean, they just limited the Bengals last week largely, so not expecting anything fireworks-wise from this offense. AJ Brown is the only one that I can point to something and be like, oh, he probably has a strong game this week, but everyone else is still a must-start regardless. On the Giants side of things, Malik Neighbors should be back this week.
Leak!
Every time he's active, you're starting a must-start. Here, Eagles are a slightly positive matchup everywhere on top of that, so Malik Neighbors should be in line to feast as he was doing pre-concussion.
Absolutely.
So I do think that Tyrone Tracy at this point has earned more playing time.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm looking at. The Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy
split.
Is there a split?
What's
is
happening?
Is there a 60-40 going on? If there is, which way is it leaning, right?
Absolutely. We will see how it works out this week. With that being said, I still expect Devin Singletary to be in line
he's the starter
to start and get the touches.
That's
so
what you got to go with.
If you need Devin Singletary this week, obviously you should be fine to start him. It's not a negative matchup or anything like that. Strong matchup there. Wan'Dale Robinson continues to be a target hog. PPR leagues, he's a fine enough play this week as well. Really has thrived with Malik Neighbors playing. Obviously, Malik Neighbors demands a lot more attention. Allows Wan'Dale to work underneath well. So Wan'Dale Robinson, Devin Singletary, I think a strong start. So Malik Neighbors, obviously a must start every week. And I wouldn't lean into Daniel Jones this week. Nothing that says we need to go Daniel Jones. Moving on from there. Raiders-Rams.
Raiders-Rams.
Must starts on the Raiders side of things. Brock Bowers continues to be probably the best tight end pick you could have made this season. Love to see it. Victory lap for that man. With Devontae Adams officially gone, Bowers and Myers get a bump rest of the season, obviously. Rams were playing better defensively before their bye. I will say that. The Rams early in the season were like a passing defense.
Which is odd, right?
They were a defense to attack,
odd.
But the last couple of weeks before their bye, and then they had their bye, they're back this week. They were playing a little bit better defensively. They were kind of limiting offenses a little bit. So we'll kind of see if that continues here. Brock Bowers is still a really, really strong start here. And Jacoby Myers gets a bump. Obviously, he's going to be the de facto wide receiver one.
Right.
And he's a quality wide receiver. So I'm still putting him out there. Mm-hmm. The Rams are still, from a overarching big picture here, are a largely positive matchup through the air. So I'm still fine rolling out Jacoby Myers if you need him. Rams are slightly negative on the ground, and Alexander Madison, but he's kind of taken over that backfield for the most part right now, and if you need him, you could probably do worse, but not anything I'm looking to attack. On the Rams side of things, Cooper Kupp should be back this week. He is on track to play, trending, love to see it. This is a positive matchup for the Rams just about everywhere, so looks like a perfect week for Cooper Kupp to get back on track.
Let's go.
If Cooper Kupp is active, he's a must-start every single week. Kyron Williams, obviously, must start as well. I would sit all of the Rams receivers if Kupp is, if he actually suits up and plays this week. If not, I think Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell are fine enough plays as a strong matchup. Colby Parkinson is a strong start this week. He actually led the team in targets before the bye. He's been an okay tight end to play this season, and
yeah, I streamed him a few weeks back.
If Cooper Kupp is active, I think Colby Parkinson is a fine enough play to get on your roster here. This is a positive matchup through the air. And Matthew Stafford, I think if you need a streaming option, he should be plenty serviceable, especially if Cooper Kupp plays. Obviously, it's going to help him out in his fantasy production significantly. This is a positive matchup. Looking for this team to boom. Panthers Commanders, thinking of another opportunity for a team to boom. Commanders in this passing attack should be great. Mm-hmm. But first, on the Panthers side of things, must starts Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Johnson. Both are getting premier usage and being pretty damn good. So must starts here. This is largely a positive matchup just about everywhere. They had a couple weeks there where they looked like they were starting to ascend defensively, and then last week they came back down to earth against the Ravens, where Lamar Jackson threw for over 300 yards. Yep. So with that being said, we mentioned Andy Dalton in the waiver wire video as a premier streaming option. I think that can... Obviously, that's how I feel. So he's a strong start here, and look for him to be fine. He hasn't been blowing the world away the last couple of weeks by any stretch of the imagination.
He's got a good matchup.
But it's a good matchup, so get him in there. Good matchup. Jentavian Sanders or Xavier Legette could either be fine this week if you need them. If you needed Xavier Legette or Jentavian Sanders. No names. We mentioned Jatavian Sanders in the waiver wire video. He was second on the team in targets last week. If you need a tight end streamer, it's possible he could continue. Xavier Legette could have a spike in production this week. This is a good matchup through the air. Commander side of things, I don't think we need to go into this too much. This is a very, very positive matchup. And Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson.
Is he back?
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Okay. Brian Robinson, yep.
Yeah, he's good.
Scary Terry, absolutely.
Terry McLaurin should feast in this matchup. The Panthers have been a premier matchup through the air. They play a ton of cover 3, so a certified, bona fide deep threat like Terry McLaurin is going to thrive against that single high coverage. Oh, yeah. So look for Terry McLaurin to boom here.
Let's go, baby.
Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl rematch.
Here we go.
Travis Kelce has had a huge bump in production since Rashee Rice went out. I will say, before their bye, Xavier Worthy actually led the way in first reads, which is kind of shocking to me, but he didn't really do much with it. I appreciate them trying to scheme him open, get him involved, but he, at this point in his career, isn't doing a whole lot on his own, and it's definitely just a boom-bust play. I think he's better on benches at the moment. But the people you can turn to for a sustainable production, Travis Kelce has been doing it since Rashee Rice went out. Look for him to continue to do that. Juju Smith-Schuster arrived before the bye as well. I think he's a strong play in this matchup. 49ers are a neutral matchup across the board, so I think they'll all be fine. And Kareem Hunt, was once again, before the bye, he's the running back you want right now until Isaiah Pacheco comes back. Neutral matchup. Get Kareem Hunt in your lineups as well. I have no problem with that. Patrick Mahomes, I'm still not wanting to start. It's just, I thought I saw something crazy. He hasn't finished as a top 10 QB since like week 12 of last season. Like some wild stuff. So I would, better off on benches right now. I would look for other options until we see.
What a world we live in. When
some revival, right?
We're saying, hey man, Patrick Mahomes, let's leave him on your bench.
Crazy. Right? Jordan Mason, if active, must starts. George Kittle must start as well. Obviously, pay attention to the injury here. Doesn't seem concerning, but we'll see. It's not exactly a great matchup on the ground. It's actually a pretty poor matchup on the ground, but Jordan Mason is a must start every single week. And Mr. Isaac Guerrero, system,
if Mason doesn't play,
it's fine play. This system is
you want that running
back to attack no matter what. So even in a tough matchup, I would be perfectly fine with getting him in there as well. Really tough through the air as well. The Chiefs defense has been once again kind of the bright spot of the team here. So I don't expect Brandon Ayuk to go out there and have a strong week. He's had one good game all season. Spot the outlier with me, right? Until we kind of see that manifest, better off on bench. And this isn't exactly a week that
you want to attack that.
I'm seeing anything happen here, right? Deebo Samuel gets enough work as a rusher, just as a person who moves the chains, that he's still fine play here, strong start.
Multi-tool type player.
Yep. And if you've been starting Brock Purdy, he's been playing well enough. This offense is good enough. Even in a tough matchup, I'd be fine playing him if you have to as well. Jets Steelers. This ought to be fun.
Yep. Breece Hall, always.
Yep, must start. He finally got back on track last week. This new staff in here obviously was just like, okay, Braylon Allen is cool, but what are we doing? It's Breece Hall on our team. He is the focal point of this rushing attack, and so he had season highs in route participation and percent of running back carries, and so obviously looking to get Breece Hall involved. So if you're a Breece Hall owner, that is a big plus, big positive. Obviously, Breece Hall is an electric playmaker. They are just, last week it looked like it was like, okay, Breece Hall is the guy here. Braylon Allen is clearly the backup. We're not playing this split backfield thing. So Breece Hall back in your lineups. There was a couple of weeks there that were really poor, but should be fine. With that being said, this is a negative matchup everywhere. The Steelers are a very good defense. They've been very, very strong. Don't think that's enough to keep Breece Hall out of lineup, especially with the bump in usage last week. The utilization's too good. He's too good of a player. Get him in your lineup. We'll see how Devontae Adams affects everything going on here. They're more susceptible to the air, so if you want to play Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson, I think they're okay. That's how they're probably going to want to attack this defense is through the air. That's kind of where they need to be looking.
And they got the two wideouts to do it with.
Yep. So
now.
We'll see. We'll see how the target shares shake out this week. It'll be really interesting, but I think both could be fine plays this week if you've been starting them anyway. They're going to have to attack the ball, this team somewhere, and it's going to have to come through the air. Steelers side of things. We'll see. For whatever reason, we're looking at a potential QB change. We're looking at I'm not exactly. Justin Fields has been fine. You're 4-2.
I don't.
But
I so don't.
They've been talking about maybe Russell Wilson starting this week. So I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening over there, but it's something to monitor for sure. It's a better matchup on the ground against the Jets. Obviously, the Jets secondary is very, very, very stout, very, very strong, just about everywhere.
Yes.
So please don't get the pass catchers into your lineup.
Mm-mm.
George Pickens isn't really good enough that you would honestly think about starting him most weeks at this point.
Yeah, I was just about to say, even most weeks, if you got George Pickens, who's starting George Pickens?
Yeah, if you are, you're not feeling great about it.
Who drafted George Pickens to start him as your wide receiver 1 or 2 on your team? Like, who did that?
Yeah, not a good decision. Anyway, enough shitting on players. This is a better matchup on the ground anyway, so terrible through the air. Look for them to already do what they like to do, which is be run heavy. Najee Harris finally had a semblance of a efficient game last week, so
he looked good, man.
Positive, right?
Good,
so
yeah.
This is a better matchup on the ground. Look for Najee Harris to hopefully have another good game. It's hard to say that with Najee Harris sometimes, but he's getting the touches.
There was powerful running there.
Yeah,
he looked good.
Najee Harris, the only one on this Steelers side of things that I would be looking to start. Ravens, Buccaneers.
Bucks. This
could be an explosive matchup right here.
This could be good, yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
This is another one that could go either way because the Bucks defense they've had weeks where they are looking real solid.
Yep. I actually don't think this one, not in the same way that the Vikings and Lions could go the same way.
Not so much?
No, I think it's, honestly, maybe this is a hot take. This game blows up and we get a shootout, or the Buccaneers dominate. That is the two ways I see this game going.
I think saying that maybe the Buccaneers dominate, that might be a hot take for some.
It's a hot take for sure, because you think about the Ravens as the powerhouse here.
Yeah.
But the Ravens defense has been so suspect, and Baker Mayfield on this passing attack has been so good that they could be just steamrolling this defense, this game, by a significant amount. And the Buccaneers defense has been good enough and flashed at times.
Okay.
If there was going to be a strong defensive performance, it's going to come from the Bucs. And so
because it's not coming
from the Ravens.
Because if the Bucs stuff that run, I would challenge. I'd be more than happy if I was the Bucs defense challenging Lamar Jackson to drop back and beat me with his arm.
Which he can do. I mean, he did it last week against the Commanders. He can do. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but that was the Commanders.
It was the Commanders, right? But, I mean, I'm not here to shit on Lamar Jackson. He's a quality quarterback. This isn't a quarterback versus quarterback duel. We talked about the other day about, I don't get, that's what sells the narrative, the quarterback duels, but the quarterbacks have nothing to do with a duel.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, if I was the Bucs defense, that's what I want. That's
absolutely,
what I'm looking for.
That's
Stuff in the run and making him beat me with his arm. That's where I want the direction of their offense to have to come and beat me at.
You can say that at just about every quarterback ever, though. That's defense 101. Stop the run. Once you stop the run, then you can make them one-dimensional, right? That's just kind of defense 101. But with that being said, the Bucs defense is the one that has flashed potential of being good, not the Ravens defense. So if it was going to turn into a defense that actually shut out another option, I don't think it's going to be the Ravens. Anyway, we got off track there a little bit. Neutral to positive matchup for the most part, though. The Buccaneers have been in plenty of shootouts. I mean, Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards a couple of weeks ago. So, like I said, the Buccaneers defense has been good, but not like great, not anything to be scared of, and occasionally have lended themselves to plenty of production. So, Zay Flowers dominating the target shares the last couple of weeks. You'd love to see it. I love to see it. I love Zay Flowers coming out of the draft, and I hated to see his usage over the last couple of weeks. They kind of just turned him into this he's a wide receiver you can like scheme your entire passing attack about.
Sure
and they were kind of just making him another gadget piece,
they
and it was
turned
just,
him into this gadget guy.
and I was just like, oh my gosh, did you watch him play college? What are you doing? Are you just like looking at his height? You say, oh, 5'10" wide receiver.
Oh yeah,
you're a
this little
gadget
guy.
player. Yeah, it was frustrating for him. But the last couple of weeks he's been very, very good, dominating the targets. 26.4% of targets. Very, very good. He's got over 100 receiving yards back-to-back weeks. I think this is another week where he could continue doing that. So Zay Flowers, strong start. I'm more than fine with getting him in your lineup, especially in a week like this where we talked about the most playing probabilities. We talked about this in the offseason. Probabilities is how you play fantasy football. The most probable thing to happen in this game is a shootout. I talked about the sneaky potential that the Bucs dominate, but the most probable thing is that this game turns into a shootout. I would be very, very happy with Zay Flowers in my lineup this week. On the Bucs side of things, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield, get them into your lineup. This is a great matchup through the air, like top 3 matchup through the air, just about in every metric you can look at, and a poor matchup on the ground. So it's like these boys are going to be throwing. Baker Mayfield, his pack attack is going to be just fine. So get all 3 of those guys into your lineups. They are must starts this week. Rachaad White was obviously out of the lineup last week. Monitor his health. I'm not really sure what we're looking at here. If Rachaad White misses, I expect Bucky Irving to be a fine play. It's a tough matchup, but he's been good enough, and they can't sell out for the run in this game. At a certain point, the running lanes will open up, right? Because you got to worry about Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield, and this Mike Evans in this passing attack. So the lanes will open up. But if we've got a split backfield between Rachaad White and Bucky Irving, I would look to sit both of them. So there's kind of a nuanced take on the backfield here. It kind of depends on what we're looking at.
And then if Rachaad White's out, you have
Sean Tucker.
Yep,
I was just about to get to that. But Sean Tucker only got touches after the game was out of hand last week. So he looked great, but the usage was, we're ahead. This game is over. Let's get another running back involved. So I would expect Bucky Irving in a more competitive matchup to dominate the touches a little bit more. And he had a great week last week. A little overshadowed because Sean Tucker came in and exploded, but we'll see. They would both be lower end plays if we're getting a split here. So looking to attack it through the wide receivers and the quarterback for sure. Cade Otton, I forgot to write him on the slide. Cade Otton, strong start to a must start here. Once again, you attack the Ravens through the air.
I'm streaming them.
Yeah. Chargers Cardinals. We've arrived to the final matchup of the week. Cardinals have been a little suspect over the last couple of weeks, and the Chargers are ascending. Must starts, J.K. Dobbins. Coming off the bye, I will say, the Chargers had 34 passing attempts last week, which is a season high. They haven't had that many They haven't had over, I think the previous high was 27 passing attempts in a game. They've just been running the ball like crazy.
Yeah, that's it.
Coming off the bye, though, they said, okay, we'll pass a little bit more. 34 passing attempts, season high. Justin Herbert through the air. Over 200 passing yards, which was the first time he did that this season. Which shows you how much they've been running the ball. But they looked to be maybe a little more balanced coming out of this. And for me, it makes sense because you've got Justin Herbert as your quarterback. You don't want to abandon your passing game. You want Justin Herbert getting in a rhythm as well to support a really, really strong offense.
Yeah, you got little lad out there.
Yep, exactly. And against this Cardinals team, it is a very positive matchup through the air. So with coming out of the bye, seeing more passing attempts, Justin Herbert getting go in the passing game, I think you could play Justin Herbert this week if you needed to stream him, and I'd be more than fine with getting Ladd McConkey. This is a great matchup through the air. This is a matchup for Herbert and Ladd McConkey to have a productive week. Ladd McConkey's led the team in target share pretty much the entire season. So
sure has.
Those are two I've been looking for here in a very positive matchup through the air. And J.K. Dobbins dominated touches last week with Gus Edwards out. Just season highs in route participation, carry percentage, all that kind of stuff. Great stuff you see. J.K. Dobbins must start, and I would be fine with getting Justin Herbert and little Ladd McConkey into your lineup. On the Cardinals side of things, this is a tough matchup. Chargers have actually been very, very good defensively this season, and this offense has been struggling. So Kyler Murray
worries me a little bit because I got Connor,
Yeah, Kyler Murray, Trey McBride are probably just must starts here. Trey McBride has been very, very good the last couple of weeks. So, but outside of that, James Conner gets a downgrade here. He gets the touches when active on the ground through the air that I think he still keeps him in kind of a strong play here, just off of touches, off of volume. But he definitely takes a hit this week. This is not a good matchup by any stretch of the imagination. And I would lean to sit Marvin Harrison Jr. This week. I did a lot of digging into Marvin Harrison this morning and yesterday. Brighter days are ahead for Marvin Harrison and this passing attack. I think they've got a bye week in a few weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And after the bye, their schedule lightens up significantly through the air, and specifically in ways that will help Marvin Harrison just from what I was looking into. So I think brighter days are ahead for this passing attack of Marvin Harrison, but not this week. So I would lean to sit Marvin Harrison. I think he should be on your bench. This is just not a good matchup anywhere. Kyler Murray, you probably still have to start. Trey McBride, probably still have to start. And you probably still have to start James Conner.
Yeah.
But he takes a hit this week as well. And there we go. Week
Boom.
7, start
Week
sit,
7
has been
in
taken
the
care of here.
Books. How you feel?
Ran through them.
Ran through
We got it in.
them. All right. Week 7, start sit. Every game, every position.
Kama Sutra of fantasy football.
My man. All right. As always, right? Hey, if you enjoyed, leave us a like below. Leave us a comment, right? Share, spread the love. Subscribe so you don't miss any content. And join the movement, baby. We're forming a militia. A fantasy football warrior in every league on the planet. That's what we want.
Exactly.
A fantasy football warrior everywhere. So we hope we've provided you with the nuggets that will help you find the players, help you start the players that are going to contribute to get you your win in week 7, get you closer to a fantasy championship. As always, the Tank Sinatra. Happy birthday, brother. Eddie Bravo. We're signing out. Go get 'em. Conquer your leagues.
See you next time.